in a way, you see, you know, the body works together, and you see society works together with all the different people. You know,
it's meant to, anyways.
It all works together in harmony.
You know, these are some of the lessons that we're missing from nature these days. Is that, you know, you look at plants. I deal with plants all day in landscaping, and there are these symbiotic relationships that exist that have developed over how many generations, who knows. Yeah. But the stuff that's going on under the soil at these plants, the interactions that they're having, the things happening that one grows up the other one, and the relationship is perfect. All other creatures on this planet have these types of relationships, and they function well.
Yeah.
You know, they all seem to do fine. We're the only ones having a problem.
Well, yeah, take a look at bees.
We're the self-appointed rulers of this place.
Right.
We don't know how to manage the crew.
Well, the whole thing is you're trying to manage the crew, and I don't think you can manage humans.
Well, the point is the power is not yours in the first place.
Yes, agreed. I totally agree with that.
Because it's a symbiotic relationship. Mm-hmm. You don't no control over another.
Yeah.
It's a mutual relationship.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a taken advantage of, and that's what we do.
You scratch my back, and I'll scratch yours.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's time we stop taking advantage, I think.
Oh, okay. How do we do that?
It's a really interesting point that was made actually in the first Matrix movie. I thought.
Take a red pill.
No, I don't know if you guys have. I'm sure you've seen it. Maybe not super recently, but the part when you know, Agent Smith sits Morpheus down and starts talking to him, and
in the second one,
first one, and he proposes his own theory. You know, he says he ran into an issue when he tried to classify humans as a species, and he came to the revelation that humans aren't mammals because every other living organism on the planet, with the exception of one, finds a natural equilibrium with its environment and the other species in it. And he said, you know, that humans are a virus because our species as a,
you know what it is though, it's just
like one, we just consume resources and then move on to a new spot.
It's just the when everyone agrees upon a diseased perception, we become that. See, but that's the point of why we're here, is to learn not to.
Right.
Like we're here.
Depollute yourself.
You know, like what is life if you're not learning something? You wake up every day. It's hard. There's things that you got to do that you don't want to do, but you learn through all these things. There's something agreeable about being self-disciplined and being responsible, even though at first it seems like the last thing you want to do. You know what I mean? But ultimately, once you decide to shift your perception to actually care about the situations and relationships around you, then reality takes on a whole different meaning.
Yep.
And purpose for you and everything else around you, the way you see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it seems as though we've reached a point, I mean, and granted our technology and our civilization keeps advancing, but you know, it's almost as though a lot of the rules of nature, a lot of the rules of, you know, evolution don't apply to us anymore. You know, we're not products of our environment.
Well, that's what somebody wrote somewhere in a book, I'm sure.
Right, only because are you saying that it's because we've developed technology, or is it because
it's a combination. I mean, we've effectively removed ourselves from the food chain, or rather, we've put ourselves permanently at the top.
Right.
There's nothing that...
Yeah, you think so, but you know, genetically modified organisms are going to prove that wrong.
Yeah. Well,
wait till you homogenize all these things, and there's only one type of corn left, one type of apple, and guess what? Some sort of thing, disease wipes it out, extinct, and then we got no more basic food source.
Yeah.
We're gonna create ourselves into a whole.
And that's, you know, that it seems like that's the only thing that has any control over us anymore is, you know, our own direction, you know, what we do to ourselves, if you will, because so many things.
Well, it's like you go, oh, this is just progress. Progress is just happening, but they forget who's driving the bus here. You know what I mean? It's not just happening. You're making it happen, which means that you also have to accept the responsibility that comes along with this whole train that's chug-a-lugging along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to pull the e-brake somewhere.
Yeah.
It's got a really deep social connotation.
How much time do we have? Okay, so let's go on to your book. You brought a book quickly.
Oh, this guy is J. Krishnamurti. Can we get a shot of this one? This guy, the book is Education and the Significance of Life. Now, I've listened to this guy's talks that he's had on the internet. I got into him through Eastern philosophy class I took in high school. This guy turned us on to all kinds of different stuff. And one of them was this guy that I immediately thought of, Paramahansa Yogananda. He wrote this book called Autobiography of a Yogi. And he lived in the same time period Einstein and all these guys. They were all in the same circles. Like they were attending similar conferences, and this is when initially all these quantum physics things and whatever was going on with that, and the spiritual people were starting to notice that there was a whole lot in common about these theories and about what was actually being experienced by some of these deeper spiritual people. Because it's a practice, just like anything else in life. Spirituality, stuff that you do, playing music, whatever it is you're into, it's all a practice, these things.
Right.
So ultimately, I think once science can wrap its head around the practice of spiritualism rather than the, the misconceived ideas of practicing witchcraft, you're cutting up little things and bleeding stuff and, just all this crazy stuff. The whole thing is, spiritualism is a practice. It's just part of another quest to another perception of another reality or another level of what we're already experiencing. Mm-hmm. And so what this guy gets into, he gets into education and the significance of life, as in what is the reason to be educated in the first place, taking into account spirituality, taking as a practice, taking into account all these other things that at his time science was just kicking off. He was an old man he died in 1986, but he was talking all about this book was written, I think, during, so I think these kind of things are important too when you're looking back into these old books. You got to take a look at the context. This was in the 50s during the Korean War. So this is after World War II.
Yeah.
After all these other things had been, now in the 50s, they're thinking it's understood the way they see things then. You know what I mean? So he's taking into account all these things. And he says, when we are working together for an ideal, for the future, we shape individuals according to our conception of that future. We are not concerned with human beings at all, but with our idea of what they should be. He talks about all these kind of things, about just taking an objectivity towards why, as in hitting the e-brake, stop the train please for a second so you can actually see where you're at.
Right.
Because if you just keep trucking along, you're kind of missing it all. You're not really engaging reality while you're there. Because even if you're passing through that place for that brief moment, in that moment, you better be there. Otherwise, you're going to miss a step. And we're missing a lot of steps here these days.
Right.
Hey.
Stay.
So, yeah, this is just a great book that I've been reading. And I kind of refer to once in a while.
Okay.
Just get you
kind
of scratching your head,
There was a couple pages that you asked me to go over a while ago, and honestly, I don't remember much of it, but I do remember I liked it. Do you remember where this was at all?
Well,
yeah, I agree.
I thought this was funny right here, just because he said this in the 50s, but this could apply even right now. Education is intimately related to the present world crisis, and the educator who sees the causes of this universal chaos should ask himself how to awaken intelligence in the student, thus helping the coming generation not to bring about further conflict and disaster. He must give all his thought, all his care, and affection to the creation of right environment and to the development of understanding, so that when the child grows into maturity, he'll be capable of dealing intelligently with the human problems that confront him. Now, how many teachers do you know actually took on that sort of perspective?